Okay, am I mute? Is my mic working? Testing, testing. Yes, it is. Good, okay. Oh my god. I am so sorry, guys. I intended to start at 11:30, and just everything shut down. So I think we're probably going to have the Mary Chu conversation on this channel, and it'll get published as a segment on the other channel if it's segment worthy. And on the other channel, we'll just go right into the other stuff. That's how it'll work. Okay, also, by the way, new channel update. The Doom HUD is migrating to the Dark channel. This is what this channel's gonna look like from now on, until we have something new. Sunday, Robinson had a Friday. Are you the brother? I don't know what that... Oh, I mean Robinson Crusoe. Har har. Well, we are both on an island. Alright. So we're going to jump into stuff because we don't have a lot of time. There is a new bad Dune take by the Cavernacle. I'm going to give it a few minutes. And then, oh horror of horrors, Andrewism is live also talking about Dune. Oh no. But before any of that, we've got a bad Mark's take to take. So we're going to, that was phrased strangely. We're going to do that quickly, then we're going to move on to the Dune stuff, then we're going to move on to the other stuff, then we're going to move on to talking to Mary Chu, and then we're going to go from there. And indeed, that's how it will happen. Any questions? By the way, reminder, if you appreciate my content, you want to help support it in the future, please consider joining the Patreon. There are Patreon-exclusive streams every Sunday. We go over theory stuff. You can call in and chat with me about anything, and so on. Also, consider super chatting. Your super chats at $5 and up are read out by TTS. Every cent helps. It's for myself and for my editor. We are in somewhat dire straits, so anything you can do helps tremendously. But of course, if you don't pay, that doesn't mean you're a second-class citizen here. Otherwise, if you can't pay, please consider sharing the stream, sharing it to your friends, and so on and so forth. Open your hearts if you can't open your wallets. So on. All right, enough dilly-dallying. On to the awfulness. How Dune is pro... I can't with this guy. I can't with this guy. I swear to God, I think Cavernacle, like, has never read a book in his life. Because I feel like I'm being, like, am I being punked? Like, how Dune is pro Elon Musk and Doge. Like, how? How? How do you even go there? I guess we're gonna find out.
There are a lot of things that are done. There are a lot of things that are done by professional educators to convince the children in their custody that their families are a pack of jerks that don't know up from down. You know this is true. And undermining the influence of the family is one of the most dangerous things any society has ever done. And we're paying the piper right now for a lot of that. Education and the family should have been in cooperation for a long, much longer time. Our mistake is taking away from local control.
Does anybody here, as a leftist, disagree with this? To be clear. Does anybody in general disagree with education and the family being in cooperation and that this should be a top-down thing from some colonial center as opposed to being under local control? Does anybody disagree with that? Like, in all seriousness. Like, as a leftist, I don't disagree with that. Now, if you're framing this in terms of like, oh, I think that parents, you know, should be allowed to educate their children in contradiction to all known science and against the public education system that exists, based on what they listen to on Fox News, which is also centralized and heavily tied to global politics, yeah, probably you'd have an issue with that. But education of the family being in cooperation and education not being a local matter, how is that a thing? How is that a thing that you object to intrinsically as a leftist? Like, I find that fascinating. I find that genuinely fascinating. The locally emergent roots of social order is like a principal feature of not just a whole ton of anarchist thought, a whole ton of Marxist thought. It's actually one of the major disagreements that Lenin had with people like oh, my brain's not working. The mass strike. Help me. Why can't I remember proper nouns? Why do proper nouns always hang on. Luxembourg. I remembered it before I looked it up. I'm a genius. It's one of the principal debates, the principal disagreements that people like Lenin had with Luxembourg. This Luxembourg, a Marxist, by the way, is maybe Cavernacle's a pure Platonist. I mean, Plato thought you needed a small state, so the local would never be exceeded anyways.
This is my basic objection to federal aid to education, even the state aid to education. I think education, the cost of it, everything, ought to be kept as close to home, and I mean that in a traditional sense, as possible. Sure, we're going to make mistakes this way, but the basic thrust of the society, the moral structure upon which...
I mean, like, has he read Foucault? Does he know about the general critical theory attitude towards the carceral, like, school system? The carcerality of the school system? Like, again, like there are absolutely ways in which you can interpret this in a toxic fashion, especially in contemporary terms, but I wouldn't presume that. Like, he's making a very specific point here about the danger and the violence of centralized control over these things. You are not invulnerable to perverse ideological corruption of children just because that power is referred to a federal state structure, as we absolutely know right now.
The society performs its other acts will remain intact. Now we've broken it all. The alternatives to this, the powerful centralized control in a society where an increasingly violent energy...
Also, can I just say, and I know I'm pausing this like crazy, and we're not even a minute in, we're a second off of a minute, but like, the title of this video is How Dune is Pro Elon Musk and Doge. Are we really seeding, like, the authority of local, on the ground self-determination to Elon Musk? Is that the route we're taking? Like, why?
It is available to smaller and smaller groups. Now you recognize this as true, don't you? No, those aren't the late night ramblings of your libertarian uncle on Facebook. Those are the words.
Those don't sound like the ramblings of a libertarian uncle on Facebook. At all. Libertarians want zero restrictions, zero oversight whatsoever. That's not what he's talking about. That's not what he's talking about. He's talking about he wants education to be a thing that families are involved in. He wants... This is the it takes a village to raise a child mentality. This is not like, oh, I don't want there to be any regulation or social pressure for like particular educational outcomes. That's why he talks about mistakes. There will be mistakes. That's specifically what he's talking about. This is incredibly reasonable. Like a libertarian would be making specific arguments to the effect of like, I should be able to teach my children to disbelieve in evolution and to hate gay people. That would be a libertarian argument. I don't even think it's a leftist at this point, just confused. I don't know what this is. This is bizarre. It's like, one of the reasons if I seem like, you know, upset about this, a part of it is because I'm pressed for time. A part of it though is because Dune is actually, and remarkably for the background of the person who wrote it, in my opinion, the most consistently leftist, anarchistic, science fiction series of novels ever written. Like, full stop. I think, certainly that I've read. I think it's actually the most leftist. Yeah. Yeah, no, indeed. Thank you. Its principal overriding theme is that you do not live in a world where there exist fixed objects in which you should invest all of your loyalty, passion, and so on and so forth, because everything is in constant change with everything else. And the only positive way forward is to embrace that change, and to not attach yourself to fixed things, because A, those don't exist, B, those tend you towards tyranny and destruction. This is not even in the domain of a conservative point of view. It's not conservative. It's anti-conservative. This is something that would go perfectly fine with Nietzsche, Marx, Judith Butler, for God's sake, anything by Foucault, Deleuze. Like, just name a leftist author who isn't a reactionary shithead who happens to be grifting towards tankies on repeater books, and you've got somebody who's going to very much vibe with the content of Dune. I mean, this is just illiterate. Like, and it's basically on the subject of the abuse of charisma and the danger of charisma. He is essentially front-loading a statement that he is counting on his viewership being so illiterate and so shallow and so vapid that they will take, this can be construed as coming from a certain type of stereotype, a certain stereotype in my imaginary. So wow, Frank Herbert sucks. Wow, I guess Frank Herbert was a Nazi. Wow, I guess Dune is right wing. And it's wild. Does Cav hate Dune, or why is he going on this so intensely? I don't think he has any passion for it at all. I think he read that Frank Herbert was a conservative, as some people have claimed. And I think that on that basis, he decided he's going to make, because the new Dune trailer came out recently. And the Dune films, by the way, have so far been right-wing in their ethos. The Dune films, as opposed to the Dune books, are right-wing. Let me give you an example. While the Dune books are about change and about prioritizing, fundamentally adapting your reason to change and acceptance of change and difference and so on, the Dune films rather prioritize a masculinist notion of will as the primary virtue. Let me give you an example. At the beginning of Dune Part 1, Paul Atreides undergoes the Gom Jabbar test, right? So the Reverend Mother takes him into a room, holds a needle to his neck, puts his hand in a box, and says, like, hey, look, you're going to feel a lot of pain in here, but if you move, I'm going to kill you. An animal caught in a trap will gnaw off its own leg to survive. What will you do? And the implication of that sentence, as phrased, is that, are you going to be so weak that you will scramble to try and save your life and die without any dignity? You man enough to take this test, Paul? This is how it's done in the book. You've heard of an animal gnawing off its own leg to escape a trap. That's an animal sort of trick. A human, by contrast, will endure the pain, play dead in the trap, pretend they're trapped, and then use the opportunity to kill the hunter when they come back to open the trap and eliminate a threat to their kind. And now take this to how the movie versus the book treats Dr. Yue. Dr. Yue, you'll recall, is the Suk doctor, the Mentat, who betrays the Atreides by lowering the shield walls, allowing the Harkonnens to invade, right? And he gives Leto Atreides the tooth, which is a gas trap, to assassinate the Baron when he gets taken to him. In the movie, he explains his motivations. Sorry, Duke, the Baron has my wife. And that's the explanation for his betrayal. The Baron has captured his wife and has done terrible things to her, probably, and he's trying to save his wife. He promised to deliver his wife from her agony, right? And then, of course, the Baron betrays him and slashes his throat, and that's the end of that. In the books, this is not what happens. In the books, Dr. Yue recognizes that his wife is already dead. He is a Suk doctor. They are trained to be incorruptible. He pretends to have been corrupted. It is noteworthy that the method by which they corrupt him is never revealed. He pretends to have been corrupted by the Harkonnens because he recognizes that there is no way out of the trap that has been set for them in which all of the Atreides survive. And so he sets up a trap for the Baron by putting the tooth in Leto Atreides' mouth, and then supplies Paul with both the means to escape and with his father's seal so he can come back later. Yue, in the film, is portrayed as the animal that freaks out because something very precious to him has been threatened, and he gnaws off his leg, and he dies anyways. Animal sort of trick. In the book, Dr. Yue is the one who endures the pain, waits in the trap, and then tries to kill the hunter. That's literally what he does. They echo each other. Dune, the film, is a weird, shallow, zombie-like shadow of the books. It takes elements from it, sort of in the weird sort of way that, like, the different Ghost in the Shell adaptations will, for some reason, repurpose scenes completely out of context from the original piece of media. The Dune films will take random bits and completely displace them. Here's another example. Jaime. Is it Jaime? No, Jaime's from Game of Thrones. Shit, what's his name? Who's the guy Paul kills? Paul kills Fremen dude name. Jameis. That was close. Jameis. Paul has a vision of Jameis telling him essentially a Mentat saying. Or was it a Mentat saying or a Bene Gesserit saying? It was something like, life's not a problem to solve, it's a reality to experience. You can't capture things in an intelligible moment.
At Beam Dinner 1262 super chatted $6.81. Hallawalla.
Then Ooga Booga to you too. Thank you. It's really important that the Fremen in the books are both not a fount of wisdom, and also by the same token, not bumbling idiots, and also by the same token, not modern liberals fighting with conservative fundamentalists. In Dune Part 2, the Fremen are divided inexplicably into two factions. There are traditionalists who are receptive to the religion that has been planted as the basis of their survival culture for an immense length of time by the Bene Gesserit, by the, was it the missionary Prospectiva or something?
At Smith Black 5945 super chatted $6.82. Being able to read and actually finish books is a superpower in the modern day.
Yeah, honestly. So some of them are receptive to this, some of them are not, some of them are like, Chani's character is strong in the books because she follows through on stuff that she believes in and acts bravely in pursuit of the goods that she wants to attain. And what is very strange about Dune Part 2 is it takes the reactionary liberal stance towards feminism and makes Chani a strong character by making her have zero judgment or restraint in just being a loudmouth jerk. Like a Tony Stark character, where she's just like, oh yeah, I'm irreverent because I'm smarter and strong. It's like, that's not how that works. In the books, she duels and kills other men vying for Paul's station so that they can't challenge him because he would be weaker. Does audiobooks count? The audiobook for Dune is actually pretty good. You could probably get away with the audiobook for Dune. Novels are fine. Novels for audiobooks are fine. The issue with, and I realize there are people with disabilities who need audio. The issue with audiobooks for like nonfiction stuff is that you need to be able to refer to notes and reread things. And that's difficult and inefficient when you're listening to a track, right? But if you don't have eyes, like, yeah, and you don't have Braille, often an audiobook is the easiest thing to get. I think they make Braille e-readers, though. I'm not entirely sure how they work, but I feel like it'd be very frustrating when those wear out, because you just have to learn eventually that your book's reading nonsense. Anywho, back to this. I mean, left, right, a good book is accessible to multiple interpretations. Not on a left-right basis, not like that. No. No, there isn't a right-wing reading of Dune. If you there is the right-wing reading of Dune is one that hasn't read Dune. There's no conservative reading of Dune. Like, at all. Full stop. No. Impossible. You cannot read Dune and get a right-wing read from it. Also, by the way, as an aside, the Dune movies not representing the content of Dune, I've seen a lot of people with this super lazy cope online who will say stuff to the effect of, well, Dune is impossible to film, okay? You can't put it to film. That's not a thing you can do. Bullshit. Of course you can. You ever read Dune? It's like Moby Dick, if Moby Dick included its asides into the actual narrative, into dialogue. There's no reason why you couldn't film Dune. You'd have to be a little creative sometimes when things can't translate efficiently to the screen, but you can absolutely find alternative ways of portraying something that you understand or gain from the book, and sometimes that is where the added value of film comes from. But the idea that you can't put this to film is ridiculous. You'd have trouble putting Moby Dick to film. This is one of the reasons why Moby Dick movies tend to be very boring, because Moby Dick is not really about the whale hunt, it's about the conversations amidst everything. It's about the analogies and the discussions and all of that stuff that's in between the hunt for the white whale, and nothing else really matters. But you know what you do then? You would tell a story on film that incorporates those themes and investigates those topics in a different medium, visually, through sound, through discussions maybe. You'd pick and choose. You can't fit the contents of a 500-page book of that density into a 2-hour-long film, but you can absolutely capture and interrogate and discuss something that's important to that book. No contradiction there. And the idea that you can't make a film version of Dune faithful to Dune is absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But moreover, there's no excuse for the Dune films being as bad as they are, because they represent just a total lack of respect of the books, of Frank Herbert's work, by the producer, by the director. The Dune films are terrible. Also, Dune Part 2, just from a cinematographic standpoint, is awful. It's choppy, it's rushed. They spent all this time on Paul and Chani, but all they did with it is just have them stare at the sunset and then have Zendaya scowl because my liberalism. It's like you are part of a hyper strict survivalist culture in a desert. They don't tolerate this. You would be killed if you had that attitude, because you are a burden on a society that can survive no burdens. Like, dude. But even beyond that, like, does anybody remember the final battle from Dune Part 2? It was terrible. This is what happened. Hey, we got 1,000 Sardaukar on the sand, and then giant worms show up and they scoop up a few, and then we chop, helicopter, explosion, the end. Power Rangers running in the desert. Why? The end. And now all of a sudden they're indoors. There's no sense of place. There's no flow. The angles are chopped in such a way as it is like you feel the rushedness of the editing. It is so bad. It is so bad. And they had so little faith and so little, like, such cynicism with respect to the audience, with respect to the material. They introduced the shield. They introduced the principle of, like, the slow knife penetrates the shield, which is important, by the way, because a major theme in Dune, specifically, is that rhythm, patterns capture you. That's the reason for that line. Walk without rhythm to not attract the worm. That's the point. The slow knife penetrates the shield. Why is that important? Well, because in the final duel, as well as in the first duel with Janus, there is a play between people who are trained with shield training and people who are not. And if you have shield training and you're fighting with shields, you have an advantage. Why? Because you know to slow your weapon down to hit the other person instead of it glancing off. But if you have shield training and you're not using shields, that's a disadvantage, because now you're slowing down your strikes before you hit the other person when it won't glance off. Right? And the entire book, actually, I think Dune Part 1, all of the Dune novels are brilliant. Like, brilliant, highly worth reading. I almost read the ones after Dune Part 1, like Messiah, Children of Dune, especially Children of Dune, by the way, in my opinion, is the best one of the sequels. But God, Emperor, Heretics, etc. It loses me a little bit with Heretics, but it's still very good. Still very good. Dune Part 1 is sort of like Moby Dick in that, unlike the other novels, it has a coherent theme in its structure. It has a theme in its structure. I would argue Chapter House would be a terrible film. Well, because Chapter House is fundamentally incomplete, right? But he was also getting up there at that point. But Dune Part 1 has an integrity to its construction. Not at the narrative level, in terms of like the way the opening mirrors the conclusion, in which it sort of refracts on itself. The sort of the plans within plans within plans thing that you hear about, that's sort of represented in the actual structure of the novel. You will see the things it talks about really brilliantly refracted at different levels of the thing. It is amazing as a book. You will be able to find really fruitful connections to Marx. You'll be able to find them to Bergson, Deleuze, Nietzsche, etc. He literally introduces Amor Fati in Children of Dune. I'm pretty sure he got that from someone by way of Nietzsche. I'm not aware of Frank Herbert being a reader of Nietzsche, but he's phenomenal. If you're into process philosophy or you're into systems theory, you're going to find so much in there. He's amazing. It's like the libertarian politics of Dune. This is obscene. Take everything I just said, and now this chapter is called The Libertarian Politics of Dune. And his audience, and this is why this makes me mad, his audience will eat this up and will not read as a result. The end result of this Jurek is going to be that his audience knows less. His audience is open to less. I think that is one of the worst things you can do as a person who uses his mouth and brain as the tools of your trade. I think that's revolting.
Words of Frank Herbert, who was a conservative libertarian himself. And in this video, we're going to be talking about why he would have ideologically, in many ways, supported Doge, Elon Musk and Donald Trump's reforms, let's say, to the federal government, which...
This is like saying that J.R.R. Tolkien is a libertarian. Like, I'm sorry. No.
At Smith Black 5945 super chatted $7. Frank was definitely pent up when he wrote Heretics.
Those who know.
Included gutting a lot of federal aid, welfare programs, things like funding for education, even though Elon Musk and Donald Trump framed it as stopping things like fraud and ultimately making the government more efficient. It seemed to be just a general ransacking of the government, giving massive handouts to Elon Musk and Trump's buddies while gutting the program.
Is he? Oh no. Oh, he's totally going to say that. Okay, so in the previous video he did on this, where he said that Dune is pro-MAGA and pro-Trump, he claimed that Leto II was a self-insert by Frank Herbert. Which I have to tell you, if you've read either Children of Dune or God Emperor, is insane. In Children of Dune, Leto II has no personality until the later parts of the book. Because one of the things that happens, and this is like, once again, talking about how like patterns capture you. They zombify you in a way. Because the twins, Leto II and Ganima, were born with their ancestral memory intact, they essentially became repositories of other dead people's experiences and didn't have the developmental uniqueness that people have as children. And so like this is a major point that's brought up at like near the end of the book when he makes his transformation, about like on the way up to his transformation. He's like, look, you haven't been educated yet. You're just a well of dead souls. You're just a collection. You're just a collection of other people's data, and that's just able to possess you. And that's what happens to Aaliyah, Paul's sister, because she is also born with that. And as a consequence, she has within herself powerful personalities and ancestral memory that are then able to sort of assert themselves over her. And the Baron Harkonnens does, because that's her grandfather. You can't have a self-insert that has no personality and who turns into a giant worm god. That's not how that works. Dude. Unless your last name's Borelli.
That so many Americans rely on. But even if the intent was something maybe Frank Herbert wouldn't agree with, and you can argue those points if you want, it's pretty clear this guy did not like both centralized bureaucracies and he did not like America's welfare programs.
Right? You know who else doesn't like America's welfare programs? A whole lot of leftists who recognize the way in which welfare programs and aid is actually used as a system of control. That doesn't mean they're opposed to redistributing wealth to help people who are victims of oppression or war or starvation. That means they recognize that there is a way in which aid can be used as a form of insidious coercion. Because now there's a tube that is administering life to you, and now the person who has administered that tube can go, hey, do what I want or I will take it from you. Hey, you over there, do what I want or I will take it from them. That's a thing they can do. Or maybe, hey, I want to demonstrate to you guys how scary and bad I am. I'm going to take this aid from these people. Wow, I could do anything, okay? You don't. You just careful. I'm Donald Trump, okay? And the guild does not take your orders, okay?
Because he believed that made people reliant on the government, and ultimately it was actually bad for human society to
Nobody clipped that. That was embarrassing.
increasingly lose the skills it needed to ensure their individual survival. And actually in this video, a large part of that is we're going to be talking about how much Frank Herbert actually created the Fremen as a type of society he would...
No, do not go there. Oh my God, wait.
And actually in this video, a large part of that is we're going to be talking about how much Frank Herbert actually created the Fremen as a type of society he would actually like to live in. And a lot of people...
You think he created the Fremen as a... They are portrayed as easily corruptible fools. They are dupes. They are violent dupes who kill each other in the service of forces they never understand. Ever. Remember that whole thing about the warning about charismatic leaders obscuring the actual mechanisms of oppression? One of the reasons why he didn't like JFK was because he was heavily charismatic, and so as a result, people weren't attentive to what was actually happening, not because he thought he himself was so evil, but because that represented a very serious danger. The Fremen are the ultimate doomed outcome of that. They are a hyper conservative, hyper repressive society that lives in perpetual danger and often misery. What are you talking about? They are reduced to literally sucking the water out of their dead corpses to live off of. Why?
People get quite reactionary when I say things like this. When I said stuff about how Frank Herbert...
That's not what reactionary means.
But like genuinely wanted something like the scattering, which I might read that quote.
Of course you want something like the scattering. You would want something like the scattering. The scattering is good. Compared to Leto's piece and compared to what happened before, the scattering is very good. Scattering is great. The entire purpose to the scattering is twofold. One is to spread out humanity to make it geographically invulnerable to top-down total control. And two, and this is revealed at the end of God Emperor, which you would know if you read it, it was also supposed to be coeval with a new type of human. God damn it.
At Suresh0T478 super chatted $5. Herbert failed to anticipate a reader even dumber and more gullible and profligate than the Freeman.
Probably not, to be honest, but thank you. A new type of human that was genetically invulnerable to the type of control that people like Paul were vulnerable to, namely controlled by prescience, right? Or not that Paul was vulnerable to, although to a certain extent, yes. Invulnerable to the prescience of someone like Leto. Invulnerable to the prescience of someone like Paul. Which, by the way, is a thing we are all vulnerable to. Because one of the reasons why we immediately clock like homeschool movements and so on and so forth as being so easily capable of being toxic is because these people aren't motivated primarily by a desire, to keep their children like invested in and attentive to local concerns and to be educated in ways that their locality offers that, for example, top down from a distance control doesn't offer, from a distance education doesn't offer. They are motivated by a desire to model their children off of the things about which they have no understanding that Fox News tells them to be afraid of. I homeschool and feel called out. Some people are good homeschoolers. I'm just saying one of the reasons why it's often a red flag is because very frequently people don't homeschool because they aren't satisfied with learning outcomes in school. Often people homeschool because they want to indoctrinate their kids, which is different.
In this video, people were also saying he definitely wouldn't want
because like homeschooling, by the way, still isolates your kids from society. It is as carceral as like regular schooling. It's just directed by the parents. But Frank Herbert didn't say schooling should be directed by the parents. So the family should be involved. There should be cooperation with the family in schooling, right?
He was a pretty weird guy. Many people in the last video were saying he seemed like an accelerationist, but fundamentally this guy was a conservative libertarian who grew up around Native American tribes and was friends with Native Americans and actually based the Fremen on Native Americans in part, combined with the better.
So he was a conservative libertarian who idealized Native American society. What? How does that work? Walk me through this, Cav.
Bedouin nomads and various Arab cultures to create this fictional society that wasn't reliant on any centralized authority, wasn't reliant on a centralized state, could all survive on their own in their own little sieges, and that's what we're going to talk about today. And if you're unaware, this is part 2.
Do you realize how big the sieges were?
Of a 2-part video series. It was potentially going to be a 3-part video series, but I was always
but you didn't read any of the books, so that's going to be hard.
Waiting to see how well the first video did, because I do YouTube full time, so I can't just indulge myself making videos about niche topics that only I really care about when this is my full-time job. But I probably will make the third video at some point. It's basically about how all your Dune takes are wrong and how there's just so much mischaracterizations of the Dune books out there that have become the popular mythology about Dune.
How true, Cavernacle, how true.
Like, it's about white saviors, it's about anti-racism and stuff like that, which I fundamentally disagree with and don't see in the source material, but that will have to wait for another video. So in today's video, we're going to talk about why Frank Herbert would have agreed with Elon Musk and Doge's work in the federal government, and much how Leto II and much of what he says in the God Emperor book is directly taken out of Frank Herbert's mouth. Like, it is in essence his political manifesto. He speaks to the reader politically through this character. The Fremen in the first Dune book in particular are Frank Herbert saying, like, look how amazing this culture is.
No. No. No.
There's an article called Frank Herbert,
Who is this?
the Republican Salafist, which is really good because it talks about his idealization of these types of Islamic cultures and stuff. But I'm not talking about it from a cultural
You
point
don't know what Salafism is, do you?
of view. I'm talking about it from a more survival point of view, a more libertarian point of view. And something I spoke about before, he coined a term called techno-peasantry, which I think is interesting and also relevant. He had a strong belief about how people should exist in society, and that is kind of represented by the Fremen. So we're going to talk about all of that today, but please go watch the first part of this two-part video series. Memberships if you want to follow me on.
Okay, Elon Musk's love for... Why do we care if Elon Musk loves Dune? Peter Thiel loves Lord of the Rings. Does that mean that he has resonance with J.R.R. Tolkien?
And with all of that out of the way, let's get into the rest of the video. So just quickly, before we talk about more important stuff, and we talk about why Frank Herbert would have supported Doge more than Elon Musk, I made a video...
Okay, here's I'm glad Brooks brought this up, because it was at the back of my mind. How is it conceivable? How is it conceivable that Frank Herbert both would love Elon Musk, but also loves the Fremen? Because there is a place for Elon Musk in the Dune story. It's in, like, Choam. Right? Maybe Ix, depending on who you're talking about. Like, you know, the thing that oppresses Arrakis because of its need for its resources for essential technologies. The thing that controls from the air? Like, really? Like, people like Musk aspire to be on the Choam side of the equation. You know, the thing Leto II, who you say is Frank Herbert's manifesto, was trying to destroy? Like, specifically trying to destroy. Specifically got rid of the worm. Specifically broke down interstellar flight to facilitate the scattering. And failed because they started to find an alternative. By the way. But, like... Oh, God.
Video a while back about why Elon Musk loves Dune, but how he's so wrong about it. And him and Grimes...
It's because he's an idiot. He's an idiot. That's all. Elon Musk loves Dune because he's an idiot. A lot of conservatives like Dune because they're idiots. A lot of conservatives like, oh, it's so mystical and violent and serious. It makes me feel so hard. That's why. Ben Shapiro loves Dune. Ben Shapiro loves Dune because it's not woke. By the way, Dune Part 2 is woke in the worst way. Dune Part 2 makes the really gross liberal presupposition that strength is manifested by having zero discipline and being superficially and openly rebellious under conditions where that's completely inappropriate. Because strong women or something. When strong women, typically, under patriarchal conditions, don't get by because there is a plot armor-based arrest of social norms that would have eliminated them when they behaved that way. It's because they managed to overcome themselves and to play by the rules and within the rules and subtly against the rules of an extremely oppressive system that massively overpowers them. Like, that's how that works. Like, if you want to see strong women, look up there's a whole especially like recently there's a lot of media about like women, for example, in like Chinese courts and such, and they have to exert substantially greater force of will than a lot of the men do, because the masculinist notion of strength is equivalent to an ejaculation. It's like, oh, I will kill or die for da-da-da-da. I'll have a brief sort of burst of violence, and then it's the band-aid's ripped off, so everything's fine, and I'll feel good about myself. It's like, what about feeling bad about yourself? What about forcing yourself to feel bad about yourself for an extended period of time? Because there are undignified, harsh things that you need to do to attain the end that you want to get for yourself. And it takes grit to go through with that. Like, that's strength. And that's how Chinese character operates. Chinese character's strength is actually the entire function of why Paul survives. As I was saying earlier, Chani literally challenges and kills his challengers in advance of them being able to challenge him. They need to make the Chinese story of the Three Kingdoms but in space. Now, they killed off some of the best female characters, unfortunately, early on. But yeah, Three Kingdoms is great.
Times actually got together because they bonded on their love for Dune. Even going back to 2014,
Cao Cao is unjustifiedly remembered as like the coolest character from Three Kingdoms, or like the most interesting one. He's not. Dio Chan is so much cooler than Cao Cao, who we all called Cao Cao for a little while. But anyways,
you see Elon Musk tweet about Dune a lot. The spice must flow. Dune series by
no, we need a modern retelling of Water Margin. You already have Suikoden.
Also brilliant. He advocates placing limits on machine intelligence, which seems to be something Elon Musk doesn't think anymore. And he,
you know what's funny? Herbert doesn't do this. In Dune, there is a law which is criticized the moment it is introduced. There is a rule in the Orange Bible saying you will not make a machine that thinks in the likeness of a man, or with the likeness of a human mind, right? Something like that. And it is corrected and said, well, actually, what it probably should say is, what is it? It's like you shouldn't, it shouldn't like supervene or replace a person's mind. Quote, Dune. No machine in the likeness of a human mind. Let me get the exact quote. Because, like, there are computers in Dune. But they're simple. Because, like, the issue is not that there were thinking machines. The issue is that people turned their thinking to the machines. The machines then took over the thinking for them. And I think it's actually, it's Gaius who
At
is...
Smith Black 5945 super chatted $8. Sunday in the Three Kingdoms period would be a scholar official and Brooks would be his eunuch secretary. Thus it is said.
Thus it is said, Brooks. Snip, snip.
advocates placing limits on machine intelligence, which seems to be something Elon Musk doesn't think anymore. And he keeps quoting Dune wrongly. Thankfully, he's been corrected recently. And he has great opinions on Dune. Like, I love Dune, but Frank Herbert, a genius writer, was obviously tripping balls writing that book. Can't expect total coherence in a situation like that. My guess that he was high as fuck lying down the lawn one day and saw an earthworm and thought, well, what if it was really big? So yeah, just hilarious Elon as always. But yeah, he has posted a lot about Frank Herbert and also posted about him in justifying his own libertarian politics, posting this quote saying, all governments suffer a reoccurring problem. Power attracts pathological...
No, you idiot. This is a member of the oligarchy's oligarchy, using anti-oligarchic, anti-elitist rhetoric to manipulate partisans of a political party who are stupid enough to fall for one of the oldest conservative tricks in the book. Hey, we are the populist party that wants to take away your rights for your own good, as opposed to the elitist Democrats who, let's be clear, also want to do that, but in principle, in theory, you know, are generally associated with being for expanding rights. Like, yeah, he's misusing these quotes. Like, what is this logic?
personalities, which is just hilarious coming from someone like Elon Musk. And also in terms of Grimes, Grimes is also like a Dune super fan. Her first album is called Gady Primes, and the only song worth listening to on that is Fade Raw for Dark Heart. The rest of it I don't really rate at all, but obviously the whole album is titled after Dune characters or Dune factions. And even when she spoke about her own son with Elon Musk, she actually talked about him being like Paul Atreides. So just this article I read on another video before, when Grimes finally saw the movie, she realized to her astonishment that this story she'd adored since she was far too young for it, that she almost knew by heart, was her own story, specifically Lady Jessica's story. This goes by fast on screen, but Jessica is not a wife but a concubine. Grimes saw herself in Jessica, and she saw X, their first son, together, and she saw X in Paul Atreides. Paul is more than a duke's son, he's a chosen one, tasked with becoming a great leader. When I see X, she says, like I just know X is going to have to go through all this really fucked up shit that sort of mirrors Paul type stuff. I was just crying my eyes out the whole movie. She knows.
Okay, Grimes is an idiot. I don't know what to tell you.
This might sound absurd, grandiose, but she wishes it felt that way to her as well. So I just thought that was like an interesting little tangent to start on that. Yeah, Elon Musk.
But why?
Is apparently a massive fan of Dune, but
so
Elon Musk is just a fucking liar about everything. Like, do you remember he used to pay that person to play that video game for him, and then it came out that he like literally like never plays it, and he
paid that person to play the video game for it? We don't know that. All we know is that he had a high level character and that he couldn't play it at an entry level when he was streaming it.
Terrible at the game. He said that
it's Path of Exile 2.
Cybertruck was like a car Blade Runner would drive. Like, he thinks
a car Blade Runner would drive.
Ford is like called Blade Runner, not that it's the title of his profession. So I would not be surprised if Elon Musk has maybe read the first Dune book and watched the 19...
Do we know that Musk didn't mean it was a car a Blade Runner would drive and there was a typo?
84 movie and probably the new movies. But it is interesting, and I said this before, I think a lot of right-wingers would absolutely love Dune if they understood it, because it does validate a lot of their own worldview, especially more libertarian Silicon Valley tech bros. Like, if he wanted to find a fictional story that justified Doge, like, look no further than the Dune books and what Frank...
He actually did pay people to level it up. Yeah, I would believe that he paid someone to level it up. I don't think they paid him to play it, right? That would have been smarter. Like, if he just had somebody playing the game. Like, nobody can see his hands. He's on a laptop. So... Oh, he did it? Okay, well, whatever.
Herbert said about them. But again, of course, Elon Musk hasn't read them, but he obviously wouldn't understand them anyway. So he hasn't taken this as something that vindicates his worldview that he can even say for nerd cred. But anyway, I thought that was interesting, but let's go on to the more substantial parts of the video. In my previous video, I contrasted actual statements by Frank Herbert.
Oh, yeah, shit. You capitalized it too. I forget how dumb these people are. I genuinely forget how dumb these people are, which is a thing, because I think they're really dumb.
To statements by Leto II in The God Emperor, and they lined up pretty perfectly, making it very clear that at times Leto II was a self-insert.
Let's read these side by side. I have read my history carefully. Every such bureaucracy eventually becomes an aristocracy, just as it has in the Soviet Union. True. They have demonstrated the truth of what I'm telling you. They have developed an aristocratic bureaucracy over there. What are the tests of an aristocracy? The aristocrats get all the perks. They don't. Oh, this is an interview. They don't have to stand in lines to get their meat. They have cars. They have servants. They have special dachas for their vacations. But the ultimate test is, I don't know. As far as ancestral memories teach me many things. The patterns, the patterns. Liberal bigots are the ones who trouble me most. I distrust the extreme. Scratch conservative and you find someone who prefers the past over any future. Scratch a liberal and find a closet aristocrat. It's true, liberal governments always develop into aristocracies. The bureaucracies betray the true intent of people who form such governments. Right from the first, the little people who formed the governments, which promised to equalize the social burdens, found themselves suddenly in the hands of bureaucratic aristocracies. Of course, all bureaucracies follow this pattern, but what a hypocrisy to find this even under a communized banner. Ah, well, if patterns teach me anything, it's that patterns are repeated. My oppressions, by and large, are no worse than any of the others, and at least I teach a new lesson. What on earth is... How is this making him a conservative? How does this make him a conservative? What he literally said with extra steps is scratch a liberal and a fascist bleeds. How does this make him a conservative?
insert for Frank Herbert to talk to the audience about his own libertarian politics and why he was right about them. I'm going to do a similar example, and this is a scene.
He thinks that being critical of liberals is being critical of leftists. He thinks being critical of liberals is being a conservative. That's where he's operating at. Because he said USSR bad. Is that the angle we're going with? Because I got to tell you, USSR died. It's gone. It's gone. It's not there. I'm not doing a push-up. If I get $100...
As Richard Auld 1 super chatted $5. Do a push-up. 3.
If I get $100, I will do 2 push-ups for every 10. If I get $100. Okay? Sunday Cav is a tanky. Yeah, but that's a dumb tanky. That's a dumb tanky. Because like you can make the argument, for example, that the failures of the Soviet Union were the product of it's being assailed from all sides outside. Reactionary elements from within, and so on and so forth. And that in principle, the Constitution itself was not bad. You could make an argument that way, that the project itself had merit. You can make the argument in that direction. But to say that there wasn't, for example, immense class disparities and an immense top-down corruption as a result of, fundamentally, you have a society of massive scale where people at the bottom have to be governed by people higher up through administration. And absolutely, as you get higher and higher up the chain, you have more and more elite privileges and access to goods and wealth and power. Like, are you serious? It was a state. States are all like that. That's how that works. Are you seriously contending that the elites in the Soviet Union were not wealthier than the peasants? Sunday, I remember you posted that you picked up The Fifth Son, albeit a while ago. Have you read through it? I've read most of it. It's really good. It's really good.
That most people will remember from the second movie. It's when they are taking the water from...
Wait, second movie? Why are you talking about the movie? The movie's a terrible representation of it.
Libertarian politics and why he was right about them. I'm going to do a similar example, and this is a scene that most people will remember from the second movie. It's when they are taking the water from Jamis. So if you guys need a little refresher, Jamis is the first person that Paul Atreides kills, and they have that fight at the end of the first movie. And in terms of the trajectory of Paul becoming this messiah,
why Frank Herbert praised Ronald Reagan? Frank Herbert praised politicians who laid bare the systems of control through their being openly corrupt and vicious. He also said similar things about Nixon.
Messiah and becoming the one. Killing Jamis is essential. And actually, once he kills Jamis, there are many, many different realities where the Fremen succeed.
Like it's actually really important. So you know how Elon Musk was like using the sort of anti-elitist rhetoric as the elite, you know, ironically controlling people down below. Reagan used similar like pro-family rhetoric, right? Like we're taking away like state control of your family and so on and so forth. And you need to understand too, like at this point in time, like there is a significant, it's a different world from where we're at right now. Herbert was not pro-Reagan throughout his administration. Herbert was pro certain elements of Reagan's rhetoric, if that makes sense. Right? Like Herbert is pro freedom of the family. He's not pro like undermining ecology like protecting stuff. He wrote Dune. He like you can't, I'm sorry, like it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
In taking back Arrakis, in the book, when he is about to ride the
book, he says for his pro-family and pro-individualist stances while opposing it. That's what I'm talking about, though. First of all, don't get it from Wikipedia. But secondly, like, it's just man.
for the first time, he actually has a vision where he sees this site as a place of pilgrimage. As he died trying to ride the worm, this is where his kind of like religious story ends. But because he killed Jamis and because he fulfilled a lot of his prophecy already, he's already this religious figure to the Fremen that inspires them to take over Arrakis and fight back and fight off the Empire and the Harkonnen. So Jamis is this very important figure in the story. But in the books, after he kills Jamis, just like in the films, he is taken back to the main seat. And that is where they have Jamis's funeral, which is where they take his water. And you see that a lot in the Dune films.
Like, let me show you something, okay? I'm actually going to use the article that Cavernacle is using. Herbert wrote that all humans are not created equal, but only after describing his disillusionment with legal liberalism, quote, "Equal justice and equal opportunity are ideals we should seek."
At Suresh0T478 super chatted $5. Scrouch a liberal, a tanky bleeds.
That was terrible. So Frank Herbert wrote that equal justice and equal opportunity are ideals we should seek, but we should recognize that humans administer the ideals and that humans do not have equal ability. Consequently, he liked politicians whose imperfections were obvious. Richard Nixon because he exposed the corruption of the office, and Reagan because he was an actor and thus drew attention to the president's artificiality. He was an extreme critic of institutional power and its mystique. That's what he was about. You want something spicier? Like, here's the following paragraph. Likewise, while Herbert decried 1960s protesters as prone to self-gratulation and hero worship, he immediately added, "I don't think there's a fucking bit of difference between a bureaucracy that is instituted by a democratic regime, a state socialist regime, a communist regime, or a capitalist regime." Unquote. Was he skeptical of black and brown activists or of white liberals? In this context, it is intriguing that he advocated decriminalizing drugs during a period when drug policy was highly racialized. He also remained optimistic about Jimmy Carter, praising him for reversing course after an erroneous appeal to ethnic purity, i.e. to white Americans' fear of federally enforced desegregation. Later, Reagan's foreign policy scared the shit out of Herbert, perhaps because of U.S. intervention in Afghanistan. By the by, a lot of people don't talk about this. Desegregation did not occur until after JFK was out. He could have pushed forward the civil rights. He could have pushed forward for civil rights. He chose not to. The charisma of JFK acted as a cover for the intrinsic oppression of the system. Why do you think he liked Nixon over JFK? Because Nixon demonstrated the corruption of the system. It made clear what was already always there. You want to know an angle you could take with this if you wanted to do Cavernacle's thesis? Maybe there is a wry way in which Frank Herbert, were he alive today, might go, you know what? At least, for example, with Venezuela, Donald Trump made clear, made nakedly apparent what the Democrats were already doing in Venezuela with more subtlety and guile up until this point. Because they were. Absolutely were. We're gonna have to talk to Mary Chu in about 10 minutes, so we're gonna go as far as we can with this.
Where they have these little devices that can take a dead body's water out because water is such a scarce resource. And they do this because they take a Fremen's water and they put it into essentially their well, which will be used to help water the planet back to a green paradise as part of their religious belief. So but essentially, when you die, your life's essence, which is water, is extracted and kept around so it can be used to help with the ecology of Arrakis going forward. So what I want to do for you is read a part of the first Dune book where they describe...
Wait, it's not your life's essence. It's your water. Your water is not your life's essence. What? No, that's not how that works. It's not your life's essence. It's your water. It's literally just your water. Dude. Dude. Dude.
Describe the scene and then actually read you a quote of Frank Herbert's own ideas about how humans should actually have our funerals, what we should do with our dead, and just kind of think about the similarities between the two and how this is him in many ways inputting what he believes we should actually do when people die. The funeral ceremony for Jamis
why does this matter in terms of Dune being pro Elon Musk? What?
was beginning. Chani stood at his elbow. Mother, do you know what they're doing back there? Jessica looked at the dark patch of his eyes staring out from the hood. I think so. Chani showed me, because I'm supposed to see it and give my permission for the weighing of the water. Jessica looked at Chani. They're recovering Jamis's water, Chani said, and her thin voice came out nasal past the nose plugs. It's the rule. The flesh belongs to the person, but the water belongs to the tribe, except in the combat. They say the water's mine, Paul said. Combat water belongs to the winner, Chani said. It's because you have to fight in the open without stillsuits. The winner has to get his water back that he loses while fighting. A bulging sack remained at Stilgar's feet. He crouched, placed his palms against it. Someone came up beside him, crouched at his elbow, and Paul recognized Chani's face in the hood shadow. Jamis...
So you don't need to praise any U.S. president. They all suck. They all suck. Don't worry. The point though is that like the distinction between them here is not, oh, this one sucked less in his policies than the other one, or this one was a better person. The point is that some of them concealed the operations of American corruption, and some of them laid it bare. And so between the two of those, there's an obvious preference.
Carried 33 litres and 7 3/32 drachms of the tribe's water.
There's no such thing as a good person who's an American president. There's no such thing as a person who's going to Valhalla who is an American president, okay?
Sit now in the presence of a Sayadina. To Paul Muad'Dib goes this portion, Chani said. May he guard it for the tribe, preserving it against careless loss. May he be generous with it in time of need. May he pass it on in his time for the good of the tribe. Paul stared around him, saw the troops spread out in a line. They pressed him forward against a low barrier carved from a native rock. Beyond the barrier in the glow of Stilgar's globe, Paul saw an unruffled dark surface of water. It stretched away into the shadows, deep and black. The far wall only faintly visible, perhaps 100 meters away. A splashing sounded on Jessica's left.
So it's better to have Trump than Harris using that logic? No, not necessarily. But insofar as Trump reveals what Harris would also be doing, sure.
At Suresh0T478 super chatted $5.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that.
He's going to say wasting water in June is like fraud, waste, and abuse. Ayla Doge. He's so fucking dumb, man. No sign of activity behind the eyes.
I hope that's not the angle, but I hadn't thought of that. That might actually make sense. I hope that's not it, because that would be really bad.
Down the shadowy line of Fremen, saw Stilgar with Paul standing beside him, and the Watermasters emptying their load.
P.S. I don't even watch you much, but for some reason last night I dreamed that you put out an invite to people to come to some music festival. However, it was actually a camp, and I never actually... Well, see, here's the problem. You would have made it to the music festival, but you had to go to the camp in your dream, okay? That's yeah. You never found me at it. You went to the wrong camp. You went to the wrong camp, dude. I'm sorry. You're not going to heaven now.
Into the pool through a flow meter. The meter was a round grey eye above the pool's rim. Jessica worked her way down to Stilgar's side. He looked at her. There were those among us in need of water, yet they would come here and not touch this water. Do you know that? I believe it, she said. He looked at the pool. We have more than 38 million decaliters here, walled off from the little makers, hidden and preserved. It is greater than treasure. We have thousands of such caches. It has been calculated with precision, Stilgar whispered. We know to within 1 million decaliters how much we need. When we have it, we shall change the face of Arrakis. So although this theme is present in the first Dune movie specifically, and I guess in both of them, I feel like it's not as a major plot point as it is in the books. And that is basically that part of the prophecy around...
It's because Villeneuve is an idiot who doesn't read. That's why. He forgot. He forgot about it. He forgot about the long-term planning. He forgot about the integralness of the unity of purpose of the Fremen communities. And he decided, oh, we're gonna make it we're gonna make it a it's Fremen Richard Dawkins versus Fremen Ken Ham, and that's gonna be the conflict in Dune Part 2, because Villeneuve is an idiot. He's an idiot. Dune Part 1 was okay because he more or less followed the books, even if he didn't understand it. So there are parts of it that contradict the message of the book in subtle ways, because you have to have read it to know that he cut short statements in ways that the meaning is altered. He reduced events so that their significance is altered. Yue is no longer someone who's hiding in a trap to catch the hunter. Now he's just a weak man who's weaker than Paul because he pulled his hand out of the trap, out of the box, right? Dune Part 2 sort of showed what was going on, or more accurately, how little was going on in Villeneuve's head. Terrible.
And Paul Muad'Dib is that he's going to lead them back to a green paradise, something that Arrakis used to be and something that had been promised to them. So it's like a religious thing, but it's also like an ecological...
It's not a religious thing. Liet Kynes, who is not religious, who is the imperial ecologist, is responsible also for making the side deals with the guild and so on, allowing for the smuggling of spice off planet as an insurance in order to turn off their radar. He makes deals with not their radar, their satellites, so that the movements of the Fremen are not tracked from space, which is why their full numbers are not known by the Emperor. I hope he never touches on Neuromancer. Oh my god.
Logical thing. They are taking...
In my part 2 of the... I'm touching on Neuromancer in part 2 of my my Bloodborne series. Although I brought up Dune in my first Bloodborne video.
The water of their dead fighters, of their dead people, and they're saving it. And even though they are living in a very water scarce place, even though they all need it, even though many Fremen die because they don't have enough water, none of them would drink it. Because this water is a religious thing as well. It's about restoring Arrakis into a green paradise. So visually, that's obviously like a very cool part of the movie. But here's how Frank Herbert actually describes his own idea for what we should do in real life when it comes to people dying. And you can see it's pretty similar in many ways in how he outlines what the Fremen do with people after they die. So he said in an interview, I have aroused a great ire in the mortuary industry in the United States by saying on television on a couple of occasions, I think our practices are insane, that we put death into the service of death, rather than death into the service of life. If I had it my way, we would get rid of all these cemeteries the way they are now, as stone orchards as I call them, and we would set up a quite efficient system of returning the...
I mean, I agree with this. Like, just mathematically, it doesn't make any sense. At a certain point, like, the real estate that it takes up is just ridiculous. It's like, it's one of the brilliant things about the aesthetic of like the Soulsborne games, is they cover their world in gravestones. That's really the Nietzschean critique there. It's like, the constant preservation of the old eventually creates a world that is crowded to the point of choking itself to death. I don't disagree. This is fine.
Dead to the service of life. And I have even specific recommendations on this. One is to build our cemeteries with a rectangular form, put a quite good looking pylon at each corner with brass plates to be added to it, and you would grid it. and you would have letters one way, the alphabet one way, numbers the other way, so you could intersect any position. Then you would have a large post hole digger, and you'd very quickly be able to go to any grid position, and you dig a vertical hole, and in a biodegradable shroud, you drop the dear departed in that hole, and then you would plant an orchard tree there. One tree, one good orchard tree, which would give you about as much oxygen as an acre of lawn. And then you put a little brass plaque in your pylon at the corner, 100% renewable, fertilizing a persimmon tree as he requested, you see. And this makes a lot more sense than what we do. It's a lot less expensive, a lot easier to maintain, and it has a lot more happiness built into it. Long-term happiness. But I have received some nasty phone calls and letters for suggesting this. So although not completely the same, you can see how they are very similar. In one case, you have this desert people who will take the water of a body and they will pour it into these massive wells and they will keep it for the restoration of their arid environment, including, I'm guessing, also watering things like trees. And then you have Frank Herbert himself saying that when you die, your body should essentially be composted so it can help fertilize trees and things that help produce more oxygen, and death should be in the service of life.
What's your problem with this?
So why I'm making that clear for you is to once again show you how things that are in the Dune world aren't there by accident, and they're not there because Frank Herbert simply thinks that looks cool, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, we know, because Frank Herbert wasn't an idiot. He was writing about stuff that he cared about. Oh my god. We'll continue this direct later. I've got a guest I need to talk to. That was painful. That was painful. This guy's illiterate. Okay, I need to grab some more liquids, and then we're gonna talk to Mary Chu about the stuff. I'll be right back. All right, so sorry about that. Life is complicated right now. Okay, we are talking to Mary Chu. Here we go. Let me pop in my virtual thing so she can put me on screen if she's live. I don't know if she is. But hold on to your butts.
Hello.
Oh,
Can you hear?
I thought I was gonna have to. I was gonna be waiting a little bit longer. Give me one moment. Let me pop you up on the screen here. Did you want to go on camera, or are you good with just the avatar?
I'll try it.
Okay, no
I don't
pressure.
remember what it's set to. Hang on. Oh, there we go. Yeah, here I am. Here I am.
There we go.
Cool.
Okay. You want to introduce yourself for the audience?
Hi, I'm the Mary Chu. I stream and make videos occasionally.
Okay. So we are chatting because I've been observing from a distance that you and Aiko are beefing, and I am just deeply curious as to why these two strong Asian trans women are fighting with each other.
So, to the best of my ability, I think it stems from some disagreements about someone called Firebat, who
Okay.
I would rather go into as little as possible because it's like pure coal at this point.
Okay.
But so they were accused of sexual assault,
Okay.
and I wasn't personally willing to say, oh, this person is a rapist because of it. I think that
Okay.
seems to have bothered a lot of people.
Okay.
I also said that because his ex that accused him, it was about 10 years ago,
Right.
and she came on and interviewed with like a bunch of different channels and stuff about what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And now she kind of watches all these channels all the time, like watching him. So like an ex-girlfriend who has trauma,
Yeah.
then watching her ex a whole bunch.
Okay.
And I kind of voiced that I found that really weird. And it was odd that that was being kind of
That is a little weird. I will grant you that. It's a little weird.
So I think people didn't like those takes.
Okay.
It's hard to understand exactly what the issue is, but it's kind of compounded because now, you know, you go looking for videos and it's like, I found one that's like offensive. So now we can kind of add to the grievances and stuff.
Gotcha.
But I think it stems from like the Firebat thing.
Okay. I haven't followed the Firebat thing very closely, but I have seen a clip. And so I wonder if this isn't playing a role in this. I'm a little bit curious as to your take on this. So you think the issue is that you're not willing to call Firebat a rapist, or is that the word that's being thrown around?
I think it's one of them. I'm not saying it's the reason.
Okay. What are some other ones besides the last one you mentioned, where it's weird that this person's like, because
Like with her ex.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, kind of since then, there was like an argument I had with Famios. I think Aiko was not happy with some of the stuff I said.
Yeah.
Which, to be honest, I think that person has said far worse to plenty of people I know, including myself. So I don't really care about that.
What was said?
There's probably other stuff. Like,
by the way, just a heads up. Just a heads up. We're on the main channel, so we'll need to guard our language a little bit. But
I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. No, your language so far has been fine. Just like I'm recognizing the nature of the conversations taking place, and when you say like things that are said that are bad, I can anticipate some possibilities.
I think I get you.
Yeah. What was the nature of what was said though?
Oh, what I said about Famios. Oh,
Yeah.
I called them a little boy and I called them a crossy.
I see. Okay. Yeah, I can see how that would be mildly offensive. What did Femiel say about you or about somebody else?
Oh, she's like told people to like end their lives.
That's not cool.
Did a lot of like attention seeking and kind of, you know, sui baiting, shall we say.
Got it.
Harassed me in chat before.
Pertaining to herself or pertaining to others, like in terms of sui baiting?
As in like, you know, or if I'm really as ugly as someone, I'll like sui bait. Did it on someone else's stream, like saying, "Oh, I'm gonna end my life."
Okay, so about herself,
made
about
rape
herself.
jokes
Yeah.
about Purple Parry Gaming.
Gotcha.
By his own father, which was pretty nuts. And
Wait, slow down. Sorry, you went too fast for me for a second. What about Purple Parry Gaming? What? Say again.
This that Aiden Projects person, Aiden Underground or whatever. Aiden Underground, that's the one.
Yeah.
Apparently made up some rumor about Parry being you know, sexually, you know, by his dad.
Well, that's
and
gross.
she was like spreading that around. And like, I wouldn't care so much, but it's the same person that kind of goes on about this other person being like a rapist and stuff, and that's really, you know, terrible and stuff. But then they'll say that about people in the same breath sometimes.
Okay. I was shown a clip, and it was actually a Femiaz clip. I don't know if you've seen this clip. It didn't come up in this conversation so far. But Femiaz, and knowing nothing about this Firebat person, I have not followed this. There's a short little bit. But Femiaz asks this trans Firebat person, hey, did you have intercourse with this person without their consent? And is Firebat she or he? Help me out.
I don't care about that stuff.
Well, just I do. So just for my edification, do you know?
Oh, you'd probably say she, I guess.
Okay. So she replied, yes, she did have sexual intercourse with this person without their consent. And then Femiaz asked for clarification, do you understand that this is rape? And she said, yes. Had a hesitation. She had like the glass to her lips like this. She's like, yes.
Yeah.
Kind of like.
So they've said they've done it on the internet, yeah.
Okay. So I suppose where I'm a little bit perplexed then is because for me, if I speak to someone and I ask them, hey, did you rape somebody? And they say yes, I would not have much of an issue with describing this person as a rapist, you know, that being the definition of the word, one who does the thing
That's
that
fine.
they said they did.
I
Yeah.
haven't really expected anyone not to. It just seems to bother people a lot that I'll only ever say like alleged. This
Well-
person says a lot of things, you know.
Okay.
He says a lot of things. He said every version of every side of what he possibly could have done, if that makes sense. So I just don't really believe any one thing that much.
Interesting. So okay, so just for clarification, the allegation of rape in this case, in this interaction with Femiaz, was made by the perpetrator, right? This person did say, like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's fine. If you want to call him that, that's fine. That
Fair.
wasn't the issue.
Okay, gotcha. But you are making the counterclaim. I'm going to take a little bit of interpretive license here, that this person is insane and is therefore just responding differently to different prompts and doesn't know what they're doing. Is that sort of the angle you're taking?
Ultimately, I'm just saying I don't know for sure, so I don't call someone that I don't know for sure.
What
like
would
that, you know?
Yeah, what would you need beyond, you know, like self?
Well, I don't know if he went through like the actual system or something. If someone got the police involved or something like that, then sure.
But if someone admits to
like-
rape but isn't convicted by the police, then you don't.
Well, did he
call them.
admit to rape? He said that he did it. That's the thing.
He did. He did. Yeah, because it was too. Why don't we bring it up? Do you mind? Will you indulge me?
I mean, we can do.
Okay.
I don't mind. I just.
Yeah, I'm genuinely fascinated by this.
Yeah.
Let me pause this quickly, and I'll share my screen with you. One moment. So I don't accidentally expose my key here quickly. Oh, I've got that on the home page. I want that on the live page. There we go. All right. There we go. And here we are again. Oh, no, we don't want that. That's OBS. Why are we sharing OBS? Don't share OBS. You serious thing? Okay, where's live? There we go. God damn. Okay. Anything secret here? No, I think we're good. Okay. So here we have live. This is the timestamp. And pull you up. Everyone bear with me. I do know what I'm doing. Sometimes. Here we go. You follow in the stream?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh shit, hang on.
You gotta click on the thing. Let me know when you're ready.
Sure.
Okay. You good?
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you acknowledge that you had sexual intercourse with Sarah Faye without her consent?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware that that's rape?
Yes.
Okay. do you acknowledge that the police station, you going there was fake? That it was a bunch of bullshit?
I don't know about all this stuff. Is that something I should continue through, or is that not important?
No, it's all bullshit. To be
Okay.
honest.
Okay. Okay. Walk me.
The less you know, the better. Trust me.
Okay. Well, okay, I'm gonna be blunt. Like, that's good enough for me. What do you need?
Yeah. People confess things falsely. I think it should go through the fucking court. If I want to say that he definitely did it,
So, in your opinion, we should call the police on Firebat?
Well, he has admitted to rape, right?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
That's what you'll think. I mean, can't say I'd feel bad for him if he got taken to the fucking station over that,
Okay. I think I saw one other thing where you were sort of in her, I don't know what they are, I'm gonna go with they, because I don't know anything about these people, in their chat, sort of commiserating or making fun of, like, people who were on their case.
Yeah, I've made fun of a lot of those people.
Yeah, but with the person, like, in the chat with the person who had, admitted to raping someone.
I mean, I can't even remember, but, like, I don't know. Who cares?
Okay. 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 What, I'm gonna be blunt. Like, I've seen some of your content. Sometimes I've appreciated your point of view on a couple of things before. Some things just kind of perplex me.
Yeah, sure.
I've noticed there is a weird, I'm saying weird somewhat tepidly here. There's a weird vindictiveness, specifically with respect to trans people, but also like a weird generosity with some other, like, I would say that this is a fairly vicious character by contrast. Like, the idea that I would go after femias and call femias a boy and so on and so forth, but then sort of, be friendly with someone who's openly saying they're a rapist perplexes me a little bit. I understand both these people are trans,
I'm not friendly with him.
Okay.
People think I am. It's really not very true.
Well, by friendly,
always been like
by friendly,
and shit.
Yeah, by friendly I don't mean you're like buddies. By friendly I just mean like
Yeah, there's so much more you have to know. I
well,
guess.
be my guest, please.
It's not like as simple.
Mm-hmm.
Like, some of the ways that some of the people that follow him have acted have been, like, ridiculous. Sometimes in excess of, like, not whatever he's accused of doing and shit, but his like current actions. Like, we had someone who they got hold of, like, a court that had seen him for, like, a traffic offense or something in 2025, and, like, got hold of it. And then the guy that got hold of it, he covered up, like, basic, like, name and identifying information. Everything else was on there.
Okay.
About this driving offense.
Okay.
He puts it on his screen while it's live.
Yeah.
And then gets Firebat to call in and starts being like, "Oh, do you see how easy it was for me to get hold of this and put it on the fucking live stream for you?"
Well, I mean, those are legal documents that are publicly accessible, aren't they?
Well, yeah, but it's an insane thing to do, is my point.
Is it? I think just he covered up. So he covered up the name, this person, and he just demonstrated like this stuff is searchable. Is that insane? It just seems like it's sort of exposing a fact of life.
What, like live on stream, like getting him to read out like, "Oh well, please don't find me because I'm poor," and all this other shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are there not better ways to make points of like, "Oh, people can find your stuff based on"?
Well,
your
I
name
think
and stuff?
I think there's two ways about this. Like, obviously, if your intent is to be kind to the person, sure, you'd do it privately and you'd help them guard their privacy and so on and so forth. But I think by this point, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe I'm mistaken about the timeline, this person has admitted publicly to being a rapist. So maybe there isn't really an onus to be kind,
Well, I don't know. I don't know what I'm being charged with here.
Well, I just don't think it's that. I'm just saying I don't think it's that crazy. Like, I think you can simultaneously.
We didn't have that information at that time. That actually caused him to like do his own like sui bait thing, putting a knife to his,
about a traffic violation or a driving.
Yeah. the whole point was,
Yeah.
oh, it's pretty easy to get hold of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He didn't admit to that yet.
Okay.
This was before that. And what happened was, like, this guy ended up going insane the next day, like Siri baiting. Like he kept coming in my chat to beg me to stop talking about him when I wasn't actually talking about him. I was talking about how insane this other guy had been acting.
Interesting.
Because he did this massive Pope stream after that. Didn't want to talk to him anymore. But like,
Okay.
fuck, what was I? But yeah, he did the Sui bait thing. Then his ex, who was friendly with him up until then, turned on him and came to like the drama channels and told about the sexual offenses.
So is this the ex that was raped, or is this a different ex? Okay.
Yes. That was when the allegations came out.
Okay. Okay, so all this stuff happened after the traffic thing.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. What else did he do up till that point, or did they do up until that point that was triggering this? Like, why was there an interest in this person initially? Like, what were they doing?
Well, they got into some argument with Thamios, which I saw, and I found quite funny.
Okay.
So I just watched a whole bunch of stuff, and I made something making fun of... He told this story about, like, cheating on his wife for poppers. It's one of those people. It's a bit like Chris Chan, that kind of thing. I just found this funny and made, like, a video about it and did a bunch of streams, most of which were pretty lame, to be honest, like watching his stuff. And a few things turned into things.
Okay.
Parry ended up coming across him through me.
Okay.
And, like, got him to say the N-word on a stream because he was, like, a lot more antagonistic. And I
remember that. That was
yeah,
something.
yeah. You messaged me, didn't you?
I did actually. I was like, did you see this thing? Because I don't think I was following it at that point, but I knew that you were watching it. I don't think Aiko was even watching them at this point. By the way,
no.
would you indulge me and just use they, since I'm not certain, and for me it's important with respect to
Sure,
Firebat?
sure.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'm not going to jump down your throat again. I don't know. It's a.
Yeah, I say what I see, basically.
Okay.
He or he, you know.
I don't know. I've seen plenty of cis women who look like that person, but
Yeah, maybe they'd get he too.
Was the order that this, who is it, Seraphe? Is that the name? Was the order that the Seraphe person claimed that they sexually assaulted her first, or did the claim come out of Firebat first? Who said it first?
From her.
It was from her.
Yeah, that it was like 10 years ago because they were exes.
Yeah.
They stayed friends. They weren't friends. They were friends. And then, like, very recently they stopped being friends. And that was after he...
So wait. So the sexual assault was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And they were friends afterwards.
Yeah, they dated. And that happened, I think, whilst they were dating.
Okay.
They were, like, not friends. They were friends. They were not friends. They were friends.
Okay.
There were some long periods.
So here's where I'm getting a different picture is being painted in my head. Then it's kind of weird that this person is following this person around, because it's not uncommon, especially for people in abusive relationships, to have like attachments to people who they're abused by, even obsessions with them, right? So like this person following this person with a very public existence doesn't seem that odd to me, even if, especially frankly, if they've had like a friendly relationship after being abused in a very, very illegal way, you know? So now I'm like, I don't find it very, very odd that I don't find it odd this person would be following this person or engage in conversations around that, because like this is a pretty intense thing that's going on involving these people. You know?
Maybe I beg to differ. I think it seems really weird.
How so? Elaborate.
Well, just like following your ex around on the internet, you know.
By itself, I agree, but like suppose, for example, you're following your ex around on the internet when this person had like a highly manipulative relationship with you in which somehow they managed to keep you around after, you know, sexually assaulting you. I feel like the psychological relationship under those circumstances is a little bit different than if, you know, you date someone for a couple weeks, they break up with you, and then you follow them online for the next year, you know? Like one of those things is like something a crazy person does. The other thing is something a damaged person does.
I get what you're saying. I think obviously we're having to infer an awful lot to make that, to get to that conclusion. And I'm, you know, I don't know any of these people ultimately.
Okay.
That's why I try to be careful with that kind of stuff, because I don't know these people, you know? I don't know any of the people that, like, I interact with on this really, and I try and I try to treat them like I do. I try to tell people that I know how you think about this kind of stuff. I don't think it's right.
Not that I can tell you what to do, but in my humble opinion, just having heard all of this, I had an interaction like it's been a while. It's been like 2 years, hasn't it? I had an interaction with Mr. Girl once. Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, and he had asked to talk to me before, and I had like strict conditions for what I would talk to him about because I had seen him on stream talk about how he had sexually assaulted somebody. Someone had, I'm not going to go into the details, but he effectively just made that claim, and it was only after it came to light that he was sort of making shit up, and I had a particular reason to think that this story wasn't true, or that it wasn't being framed in the way that he was doing so for shock value, that I was willing to interact with him further afterwards, simply because when you interact with people normally, when they admit to rape, you normalize the idea that this is not a serious thing that should have social consequences and should bar you from social access. And for me, that's very important. Even though my channel is very small and I'm not going to make or break Mr. Girl's channel, it's like, I also don't want to send the message, or I want to send the counter signal at the very least, that like, hey, maybe it's a little weird to talk to people who admit to raping people as if they're normal, right? You know, like I would treat that like a radioactive fire. I want to keep as distant as possible. I'll cover it, but I'm not gonna be in it. You know, I'm not gonna have that person in my DMs.
Yeah, I've had I've had interest in talking to them a couple of times. I've interacted with them briefly a couple of times. Like, I don't know, it's kind of my business, you know.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, it is a business. Like,
if people want to read into that, they can. Like, I don't really give a shit, to be honest.
No, that's fine. Well, I mean, that was my point. Well, that was my point about the traffic incident thing. Was it a speeding thing, or what was it?
I ran a stop sign or something.
Okay. Like that was
brings it up, make a point about like finding stuff with his name as if he couldn't have done it any other way, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was my that was my point about that. It's like people cover that stuff, and there's no onus to be kind to somebody under these circumstances.
But they didn't know he was a rapist then.
No, but it sounds to me like, given the Purple Perry stuff, given like other things as well, this person was behaving in a way that was probably pretty toxic to other people already, and they were probably inviting that kind of interaction, you know?
They're like very mental.
No disagreement there.
You have to understand that, like.
Well, that's why I was asking, like, do you have a particular reason to think that when he admits, and when this is corroborated by the ex, that he sexually assaulted this person, and was explicitly asked, do you understand this is rape that you were admitting to? And he says, yeah, and they say yes. It's like, that's why I'm like, do you have a particular reason to disbelieve him? Because there are a lot of people who, for whatever reason, just aren't chargeable, or who fall through the cracks in terms of like people who like sexually abuse.
Yeah.
You know, people who are vulnerable.
He might well have done it. I don't know. I just don't know. That's all.
Well, I just feel like I would have more uncertainty about somebody who was collected by the police but was in active denial than somebody who openly admitted it, because the person who openly admits it, both parties who have private, direct access to this information are corroborating the story. You know, like.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
no detective or police agency is going to be able to secure a better confession than that.
Well, maybe, but like the guy's fucking retarded. I think it needs to be done the right way. Ultimately, he's not all there and shit. People do confess to shit because they think it'll get them off.
Okay, no, that's fair. What do you think the right way is?
I'm not really sure. I think like plastering it on the internet is the absolute worst way. Like, he is someone that probably doesn't need to be on the internet.
That's probably true.
Ultimately, like, he's too. Sorry, I used a bad word earlier. I'm sorry. He's not all there, you know. I said the R.
Just try not to do too much. It's okay. We're not gonna get stopped every single time. I get it.
Yeah, and I'll do my best. I do apologize.
Thank you. Okay. I mean, here's the thing though. Like, there's a flip side to this, which is like, I am not a fan of the internet as like as due process, but by the same token, like I saw people in the chat are saying that the order was reversed, that Sarah Faye talked about the sexual assault after Firebat did.
Yeah.
Leaving.
That's why she broke up with him as a friend, because he sui baited because of the driving offense.
No. I mean, Firebat talked about the sexual assault prior to Sarah Faye did.
Possibly. Like, some of these people watch all this shit. I don't mind.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I don't expect you to have an encyclopedic knowledge about this. I'm just curious about. I'm curious about the disagreement here.
Thankfully.
And I disagree with like all the
I don't know.
time,
They're all mad at me. They're all mad at me.
Well, I think they're mad at you because I think they generally perceive, and I'm sort of getting a little bit of this through osmosis. I think they generally perceive that you have a lot of acidity towards other trans people online, but also it seems like you're giving a disproportionate, in light of the aforementioned, a disproportionate amount of charity to someone who has openly admitted to raping somebody who has also accused them of raping them. And it's like, when you look at these scales, it looks like this, and so it's like, what's going on?
Yeah,
you know?
I don't know. I think people are inferring way more charitability than there is. I don't know if people are telling you that this is what's going on. They can think that.
Well, nobody tells me anything. I've just it's enough people in my general circle have been talking about this that I've sort of noticed, despite not paying attention. I feel like for me, how I would avoid this is I would just not. If somebody I didn't want to talk about or I didn't want to interrogate admitted to raping somebody, I think I would not say anything. You know, because like there's a catch here where it's like sometimes like taking a charitable or an open-minded or a what's the word I'm looking for, like a sort of hesitative stance. I'm allowing my judgment to be in suspension because I don't have all the details. Maybe this person is crazy and is just like just saying whatever in response to prompts. That's a possibility. People do that. Like I think under those circumstances, though, like me personally, I can't speak for you, but I would avoid making any statement whatsoever that could be used as leverage in the other direction, because I wouldn't want to be incidentally giving, you know, tools and capital and space for someone who maybe actually did do these things to sort of evade responsibility when they already admitted it. I would just wash my hands, you know, because I'm going to be real. Like even though I've seen this confession, I don't have proof that this person did it. I have their word, and it's possible the word of this person is not trustworthy because they're crazy, as you say. But if they are telling the truth, then me even questioning that publicly is giving them room to hide behind that doubt, because they can go, oh, I was just crazy, actually. See, they're right. They were right about me. And that idea may have only been planted in their head by us who are covering this person, right? Am I making sense? Yeah.
You're making sense. I don't know, man. I just don't care that much. This guy is, like I said, extremely disabled.
So who's running it? Are you running from Ico, or is Ico running from you? I can't keep track.
I have no idea, man. It's been scheduled apparently, but not apparently twice. Apparently it's tomorrow. It's fine. I'll just fucking get through it.
Okay. Because I saw your stream. I saw your stream is called Running Again, which you know is the way of my people. Hang on, let's see here. Yeah, so you're oh, are you not live anymore? Oh damn, I missed you. Runaway once, shame on me. Runaway twice, shame on you. Because I saw like you had that video calling Ico out, and then I saw in the comments when Ico responded to you, you were like saying like, hey, I'll talk to you. You said like, why would you want to talk to someone? And like I understand her response where it's like, you're questioning now the parameters under which you're going to address somebody that you were challenging. It sounds like you're trying to get out of it. I'm not saying you are in the exact same way we're talking about Firebat. You can interpret
it that way.
Okay.
She's welcome to. I don't give a shit.
Okay. Are you talking to her tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yeah.
Okay, you are gonna. So if somebody doesn't show up, it's gonna be her who's running, right?
I showed up the last fucking 2 times. Okay.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was confused. It's like you're obviously willing to go talk about this. So it's like, I'm like, what's... Listen, to be blunt with you, I think all of you are nuts. But
Yeah, of course.
especially Ico. Ico terrifies me. You're braver than me. I wouldn't go into that arena. But so you're what time is that at tomorrow? I'm gonna
I think it's
kinda
like
wanna watch
2:30
that.
or something. I don't know.
Okay. While I have you, what's your deal with King Critical? Because I think that's actually how we started interacting. Because I made a video criticizing King Critical. Yeah, I'll lay my cards on the table. He's dumb as a rock. I don't think he understands anything that he talks about. What do you see in him?
I actually haven't watched him in like ages. We did a stream about some like dumb cartoons that someone drew.
Okay.
And that was quite fun, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. He's done some new stuff. And something about the tone of something was like hitting me a certain way that I wasn't sure about, but
Really? I'm
like,
actually
he's
a
trying to
little
move
bit
away from.
I'm a little bit curious.
There's something about like some dead kid, like because he's actually moving away a bit from like trans stuff.
Islam has no power in the West. I solved the fuel crisis. Oh yeah, I see that. Interesting. What?
I think it's good. Personally. He's probably better off talking about other shit. So.
Yeah, he's a weird one. I feel like he's kind of trapped, so to speak. Like,
lots of people are.
True. Well, because like, not to harp on this,
His
but
audience
like,
wants a specific thing, yeah.
well, because it's like, I'm also noticing like his recent content is not getting high views at all. I solved the fuel crisis, got under 1,000 views. Like he's doing the views that my shitty VOD segments do. And this is a channel that actually does pretty well. Like he gets like 20,000 views in some of his videos. I don't think my video response to him got above 20K. But like,
yeah, people get typecast.
Well, they don't just get typecast. I think so like I'm a Butler head. I read a lot of this weird shit. And so like it occurs to me very quickly when somebody has not, I notice when people are talking about stuff in a way that indicates that they haven't gone through the really difficult stuff that I've gone through, because I notice the things that I learned from it aren't present. And I wonder if what happens with a lot of these people is they stake out a claim because they see like, and I've done this too in the past too. Like years and years ago, before I started my YouTube channel, I started another YouTube channel, which I never published any videos on, so you won't find it. But I tried to get into like Christian apologetics because I was originally a conservative. And I was in that whole like culture war thing. And I made stuff sort of like attacking like new atheist writers and things like that. And I didn't read them very carefully. I was very immature. And if I had, I would probably have found myself under a lot of pressure to not walk back stuff that I'd staked out in ignorance. And I wonder if a lot of the way he is right now is just a consequence of that. Because like his he had a stream on me. It's members only though. Damn. Judith President Sunday simps for Judith Butler. That fucker. I'm not giving him money. Someone pay for it and download it for me. I don't care if he gets money. I just don't want to give him mine.
I'm not a member, I'm afraid.
Damn. It's probably not that good, to be fair. I wasn't super impressed with his other stuff. But like, he obviously didn't read the stuff and so on and so forth. I'm not this is not pertaining to you. But okay. So you said the stuff he's been talking about recently doesn't really vibe with you, and you're just kind of like, whatever.
Yeah, I saw something about like a kid or something, and there was a sort of kind of irony to the tone. I don't know if it's something he needs to just kind of work his way out of or something.
Was it like a kid who was killed by something, or what was happening?
I think so. I think it was something to do with like the
Oh, his name was Michael. That one.
Yeah, it was just. It felt like it was about like a dead kid, but it was kind of it was a bit ironic and like. I couldn't quite.
Was that the tone?
Get into it.
Was he making fun of people like highlighting the tragedy?
I don't know.
It was odd.
Quickly.
Yeah. Okay.
It was like, is this the way that's going? And it might not be. It might actually be a really good video, and I just got weirded out. But That
Okay.
was the last thing I remember seeing.
Okay. Okay. Let me see if anyone's screaming at me in Discord. I don't think I have anything else. Do you have anything oh, it looks like I've got Ico screaming in my DMs, I just realized.
Yeah, apparently she used to do that to Nick DeOrio. She'd like send him like 70 messages in a row when he like did videos and stuff.
Okay. Can I ask you a question?
Uh-huh.
Sort of pertaining to the fire bat stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned earlier that in my judgment, it would be very wise to not, you know, interact with these people at all if you're not willing to take like, yeah. So it looks like you DM'd Firebat and you encouraged them to not talk about this stuff online. And I understand. So you say here, the truth is I have no idea if you're a rapist or an abuser, and I'm not actually fussed. I don't think we'll ever see proof, and I don't really think it's my business. It's between you and the other party and whatever God you believe in. And then earlier you say, I'm sorry I banned you from my Discord. Please do not mention anything about this on the internet. Do you see how that might, you know, trigger a different response? Like I'm sort of understanding the anger now, to be blunt with you. Because
they think I'm like fraternizing with a rapist.
Well, to be honest,
well, I think they should go and do something about it instead of talking about it on stream every single day.
I concur. It's just if I may, just very quickly.
Dude, you know what's great about these like lolcow cults? You can like really control them just by talking through these people. It's hilarious.
I know.
I can get them talking about anything I want.
I know. It's just the thing. The thing is, though, is that like, you know how people were mad about Noam Chomsky giving advice to Jeffrey Epstein on how to like salvage his reputation when he was accused of trafficking women? I think I
get where you're going.
It's giving. I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of giving that right now. Sure. And okay. I understand. Like, look, I understand to a point where it's like this person is very obviously mentally ill, like deeply mentally ill, and I suspect there's probably a lot of, you know, confluence between people being severely mentally ill and people being guilty of sexual assault. I don't think that's a thing well people generally do. However, I think as I'm reading this, the problem I'm having is that this is giving pragmatic advice to someone to potentially cover up what they're doing. Because if they did rape this person, you are telling them how to navigate this from an optics standpoint when they need to be in a facility.
Yeah, I'm telling this person to either think about what they're doing or just fucking leave it alone. What I'm saying is they're going to call him a rapist all the time, whether he likes it or not. Like, he can say that he's not a rapist like 20,000 times. They'll never believe it. Like, it's just done now.
Okay. So
he's like doing these streams where he's like drinking and like fucking puking in the grass and shit. I think the mental health stuff is real.
I think the mental health stuff is real. I 100% agree.
Like, it's these like, there's been like breakdowns that this person has.
Yeah.
I think it's just real, you know, and it's never going to get better unless they change their life, and they have a kid on the way in like a month. So they need to like get their shit together, you know, but they probably won't. And who knows what'll fucking happen. But his wife's 8 months pregnant.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Should not have a wife, to be blunt with you.
Well, I mean, people fall in love. People fall in love with like crazy people, you know?
Yeah, I know. It's just like sometimes the people they fall in love with are JF Garepi, and it's kind of the vibe I'm getting here. Like,
well, I mean, I don't know. I've seen a decent amount of the relationship, and some of the people kind of white knight for his wife when his wife is a lot more intelligent than he is, and is not afraid of him.
But like sometimes,
she'll put him in his place very easily.
Sometimes people though. Look. Here's the problem you're running into. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I apologize for the screen going black on stream, guys. I'm shit at content. The problem I'm running into is that if this person did what they admit they did with clarification, like they were asked, they could have just said no. Like, to be blunt with you, if this person had said, in answer to Femia's asking, did you have sexual intercourse without this person's consent? And they said, yes. I have a somewhat intimate experience of people suffering from various psychological illnesses. We have a lot of people in my server who have come and gone, who have been dealing with various types of schizophrenia. And sometimes people will hallucinate entire dimensions of discourse that don't really exist, in which they did something terrible or in which other people did something terrible, and that's real. But here's the thing. If this person did what they say they... Let me rewind a little bit. When this person was asked, did you have intercourse without this person's consent? And they said yes. Do you know that this is rape? They said yes. It's like, we have reinforcement of the initial claim in different terms. And if this person is telling the truth, and I don't have any reason to think they're not telling the truth, because there is no ulterior motive to admit to rape. Full stop. Full stop. Unless you're literally in court and they're giving you a deal. Like, there's no ulterior motive here.
Someone who's like desperate to get famous on the internet.
But if they were desperate to get famous on the internet, wouldn't they have volunteered this information initially?
I don't know. They've been trying a long time. Maybe they're realizing it's not working very well. I don't know. I don't know the truth, you know?
It seems like things weren't going well when this person was asked these questions. It seems like this is at the end of a process. Because remember, they were already becoming content at this point. People were talking about their driving violations, right? Their road violations. Yeah. So it's like, yeah. So can you see though how it looks like, wittingly or not, and you do say in these DMs that you don't know if this person is guilty or not. Nonetheless, you're picking out someone in particular who has admitted guilt, and you're offering them not just charity but strategic advice when, for instance, I highly doubt we will see DMs between you and Femia saying, hey girl, I think you're hurting yourself a little bit. Here's how maybe you can help yourself a bit. Because whatever can be said about Femias has not admitted to raping someone. The animus towards Femias is what perplexes me here. If this was like universal and it was directed at everybody, like directed at me, be my guest, directed at Femias and Firebat, I get it. But it's like, we're treating Femias as the big bad here, and the person who admitted to raping someone, who has a victim who is out there saying she was raped, as the person to be like...
So I should pick teams with these shitters on the internet, is what you're saying?
You should not pick teams with the person who admitted to be a rapist. I would just abstain.
I'm not.
But it looks like you are, though, when you're offering them assistance, right?
I'm not offering them assistance. Ultimately,
you're offering them advice. I would consider advice given to somebody who doesn't have the wherewithal to navigate a situation as assistance. You're giving them intellectual assistance, right? You're augmenting their ability to navigate this from an optic standpoint.
I mean, if he was capable of understanding almost anything I say ever, then I would say, yeah, that's true.
So you sent him those messages under the assumption that he wouldn't be able to read them?
No, I'm just saying that he doesn't seem to understand almost anything I say.
But at the time, you didn't know that because he hadn't received them, right?
I mean, I had some idea at that point.
Okay, so you
sent... It's not really there, but...
Okay. Can I make just a very strong suggestion? And I'm saying this to someone who doesn't hate you like Aiko does. I don't know you. I don't generally hate anybody, and I know you're capable of intelligent commentary, and I know you're capable of I know you're not a stupid person. Why don't you just wash your hands of this and walk away? I don't see
I mean, with him, that is the case.
Well, yeah, but you're goading other creators. You're goading Aiko,
yeah, who have been goading me.
Yeah, sure, but I to be blunt with you, I think they've got reason to.
I mean,
I think to be honest, and I'm not going to say you're actively defending a rapist.
Got reason to say the insane shit she's been saying about me. She just makes stuff up, man.
What did she say about you? I haven't followed. What did she say about you?
Oh fuck! Hang on. So she talks about. She didn't want to have a debate about 2021 Twitch poll issues. She said that.
What?
Because apparently trans issues are that to her.
Wait, I didn't understand. Can you explain that to me? Sorry, that I'm not trying to be a dick. I just genuinely don't understand what you just said. Can you?
Yeah, she said that she originally wanted apparently to debate about trans issues or agreed to something along those lines, or was presented that and said that like this is like 2021 Twitch poll stuff, which seems really bizarre to me.
What is this referencing?
Oh, we were meant to be debating about trans people because she didn't like a video that I did, which I admit I think I went quite far on. I have been able to actually substantiate a lot of the stuff I said.
And I realize I put you on the spot a lot. Can you elaborate in what way you think you overshot?
Oh, what she's annoyed over?
Yeah.
I mean, she was looking for stuff to get offended by. I actually sent something else, but
is there a representative issue or?
It was a video about a specific person who I don't like because they go to like, you know, employment things and teach businesses how to be more trans inclusive.
Okay.
But they sort of tell it through the lens of this kind of weird, sort of vaguely fetishy, like crossy kind of angle, which to me feels like if I was in the audience, I'd like complain, you know, what the fuck is this person doing?
What is help me out here. What does crossing mean in this context?
Cross-dresser.
Okay. What does it mean to explain something in a cross-dressery manner?
Well, as in like, you know, early memories being like, oh, trying on like my sister's underwear and stuff and feeling a certain way. Other content.
Well, I mean, is that cross-dressing though? Because I feel like cross-dressing is when you're like, when
starts with like panties and shit, doesn't it?
Well, no, I always understood cross-dressing as being like, there's sort of an acknowledgement of being gendered one way and then dressing in the gendered outfits of the opposite gender, but not like I wouldn't regard like a trans woman wearing a dress as being like cross-dressing. I'd regard them as just like, you know, presenting.
No, me neither. It's like the specific kind of angle it's coming from.
Okay.
And I don't think those two things should be conflated the way they are, to be honest. I don't think trans is like cross-dressing. I mean, there's a component to a lot of people, but...
Well, I mean, there are trans people in the closet, right? They don't cross-dress.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So we're specifically talking about... So trans women are cross-dressing then, in your view, when they...
Well, what the point of this was, is this person came from being a cross-dresser and, like, gives a lot of that kind of... Like, explains trans in a way that makes more sense as, like...
Oh, I see what you're saying. So they began, if I may, they began their journey, quote-unquote, as, like, trying on clothes and then realizing on that basis.
Well, like, yeah, we go from, like, the straight man that's, like, trying on his, like, wife stuff and all that and has an alter ego and stuff, and then...
I mean, you're talking about a straight man who puts on his wife's clothes and develops an alter ego on that basis. That doesn't sound like a... It's awfully crooked for a straight man. We're in Rainbow Road territory.
Do you not know about this kind of thing?
I don't.
These kind of straight guys that have these alter egos and like they try on or they're like divorced or some shit.
Yeah.
And they wear this kind of shit. Like we watched them the other day. It was like.
Well, it sounds like queer people. It doesn't sound like straight people. It sounds like people who like portray as straight in public because there's social penalties to not being, you know, to being queer.
I don't know.
Public.
It's possible. I don't really kind of analyze people in that way, I guess.
Well, you called Femiel's a boy, so maybe you do a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, like that's just where I'm kind of perplexed.
He told someone I know to go kill himself. So.
Well, this is why I think hey, I'm with you on that one. I think that's not okay. I don't think that's acceptable. But like what perplexes me though, and once again, why I'm talking to you is because like I've seen you be reasonable, and I know you're intelligent. I know you're capable of like having a reasonable interaction, and then like some of these things don't, like there seems to be a dissonance there in terms of my perception. Like some of these things I don't understand the motives for, because like the insistence, if you will, that these are straight men, right? These are straight men who just happen to, you know that Law and Order meme where it's like, I'm not gay, I have relationships with women and sex with men. It's like, that means you're gay. It doesn't, by the way. It's a bit more complicated than that, but like that sort of thing. It's like they're not trans. They just wear their wife's clothing and have an alter ego and eventually identify as women.
Well, I mean, about that
You
person,
see?
I'm not saying
Yeah.
they're not trans. I just don't like the representation. I don't like the idea that people are literally being taught that this is like what being trans is about. When to me, it's like you're describing
Okay.
a lot of stuff that sounds borderline fetishy and like.
I actually agree with that. I actually like that. I like that critique. One of the things that frustrates me is that when people think of gay people, they think of like, you know, cabana boy, that kind of thing. I like Ian McKellen as a representative. He can be bitchy though. He's got his moments, but you know, he has dignity.
Yeah, if someone went around teaching people that gay people being gay was all about, you know, all this kind of stuff, you'd
Yeah.
probably you wouldn't want people to be taught that kind of thing, you know.
I don't disagree with that. Okay.
Like what I will say is I probably did say a lot of really harsh stuff and I put myself across a certain way, and that's fine. I understand why people would find some of the stuff I say offensive for sure.
Well, I don't think it's just a matter of being offensive. Like for me, like one of the reasons why I'm even concerned about like respecting the pronouns or the identity of someone who I'm going to be blunt. I think when someone says they are a rapist, they are a rapist. Even in that case, is that if I'm invalidating that person's identity, if I treat that as trivial, I'm doing it for other people regardless. That follows from that. And I don't know, I don't think the stakes here are particularly high, and neither of us are large channels, but like I can understand why someone would watch your content about that and sort of see a sort of a pattern of decisions and come away with the idea that, you know, regardless of your own identity and your own positionality in these conversations, it kind of seems like you have an emotional investment in hurting trans women, seemingly in particular, but you'll give a tremendous amount of breathing room for, you know, rapists. And it's like, pick one. You know, I would pick one. I would pick one of those.
Things.
That's
like,
the thing though. That's the thing though. It's like, well, not really though, right? Because like femios, as you pointed out, sui baited, as you put it, right? Off of being told she was ugly. I don't think she is, by the way, but off of being told this, okay. But it was a big deal when Firebat sui baited after having their stop sign violation exposed. Yeah, so like you need to pick one, because if there's an inconsistency here where one person is being shown charity and one person isn't, and the difference is that one's a trans woman and one's a rapist, you know, it's like.
Well, again, the sui bait was before the rape, and I treated it very seriously. I was fucking angry at him.
But not with Femios though. He called Femios a boy, even though Femios sui baited about being called ugly.
Well, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to be real with you. When I think of these two people, I am more concerned about the well-being of 21-year-old Femios than I am about this 30-something-year-old rapist. You know? Like,
I'm being like, I don't know, man. Like,
yeah.
When it comes to this Femios sui baiting thing, it was funny. It's way funnier than any of the Firebat stuff. When she and that trough guy go insane at each other and do stupid shit. It's funnier.
I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's funny when a young person who is not a rapist expresses suicidal intent. I think that's serious.
Well, she tells other people to kill themselves though.
Yeah, I know. I know because she's dumb, bluntly.
She needs more resistance to her shitty personality.
No, I think she's dumb. No, I think she's dumb because she's 21 years old.
Okay.
I think she's 21 years old, and sort of like how, like, when you were talking to Aiko, you like throw in like F-slurs and whatnot, and it's like, this might fuck up people's streams. It's like, there's an immaturity there. But like, she's a kid. She hasn't been a teenager for 2 years. Like, you know, like I would tend to give more concern and leeway to the kid who's being edgy on the internet, maybe unacceptably, and I would agree with that. I don't think telling people to kill themselves is fine. I've broken relationships with people on the basis of them doing that. But I would be far more concerned about that person's well-being than the person who is admitting with no apparent apology to being a rapist online. And is actively, I would say, if this person has like a kid on the way and is in a relationship and has not addressed these very serious problems and is escalating this, they're a potential danger to people around them right now. I don't think Femiaz is doing anything. Femiaz has been 21 since forever.
Yeah, we had
Whatever.
our own disagreements and stuff. I don't really.
Okay.
If I'm in an argument with someone, I'm not thinking, oh shit, I better make sure I'm like not doing this the same way I would this. Like I'm like, you know, this person.
But why not? You're intelligent. You can hold these things simultaneously. I curate what I say to people based on who they are and their relationship to me.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm comparing here. Like,
But like, well, here's the thing. Like, you say that you don't think about the person you're arguing with in the argument, but you specifically targeted this person on the basis of their identity. You called them a boy. That would not offend me.
Oh, no.
I think you think I'm that young, really, but it offends Femiaz because you're saying she looks like a dude.
well,
She doesn't, by the way. I think that's kind of silly.
yeah, we get it. Like, I don't know, man. This person has fucking problems, and they make it other people's problems. And it's
But-
just fucking annoying.
But it wasn't your
And I
problem.
can
But it
criticize
wasn't. It
people that
wasn't.
aren't fucking
But
fire bat.
I understand. But it wasn't your problem when you DM'd them. Just why not just hands off? Like, just don't touch them.
Yeah, you might be right there. I said I
think
said
I
to
might be.
Barry I think that it was a mistake,
Okay.
probably. But it's not the end of the fucking. I don't know. It's so fucking.
It might
deep
be.
for me.
It might be.
It's
If this
fucking
person,
serious.
if this person hurts themselves or makes a decision that like ruins their life in some capacity on the basis of people telling them this shit and reinforcing this idea that she looks like something she can't stomach looking like, that's kind of serious. I take that very seriously. Like, I think that's a big deal. I think this other person yeah, go on.
saying that she looks like what she doesn't like looking like.
Calling a trans woman who is expressing like deep insecurity about their appearance a boy, I think is
I just don't
playing
care
with
about
fire.
that.
I think it's playing with fire.
Her fucking identity is none of my fucking business. I don't give a shit.
Then don't bring it up.
Like,
Don't bring it up. Like, why
Oh.
target that? Call her an idiot if you think she's an idiot. Why would you bring up her appearance?
who cares? She brings up.
Well,
everyone
she
constantly.
cares. She cares, and she's a 21-year-old who
Okay,
expressed
wow.
like
She needs to
suicidality.
calm the fuck down.
Maybe
Stop,
Firebat
like,
needs
fucking
to.
Stewie baiting.
So
Yeah,
maybe
he does.
Firebat needs to
Firebat
calm the fuck
fuck
down.
off the internet and be a fucking parent. That's what he
Okay,
needs to
but
fucking
you
do.
gave advice to Firebat, but not to Femias.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Why
Yes,
are
so
you
what?
why are you more kindly disposed to the rapist than to the trans person who's a little uncouth on the internet?
I'm not saying I am.
But you are in practice. You gave advice to Firebat, not to Femias.
Well, because that person is like has been a problem for me. I don't know, man.
Okay.
You can say that I have treated them unevenly, and that's fine. There's just
I think objectively you have.
yeah, I don't care.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to attack you. I just want to understand why. I want to understand why, and I don't think I'm there yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I get in beefs with people. Everyone gets in beefs with people. You know.
Yeah, but you're not insane though. There's a logic to what you do. Like, there's a reason why some people trigger you more than others. You got into a much worse beef with Femiaz than you did with Firebat. Like, I think someone said you were modding for Firebat. You have DMs with Firebat.
Yeah, they made me a mod. That's not the fucking same.
I'm not. No. But the point is not that you're at fault.
The people
Oh no, I
fucking
understand. The
shit.
point is not that you were at fault for being a mod for Firebat. The point is Firebat obviously sees you and sees someone friendly. Femiaz does not, and I have to wonder why. Because one of
Well,
these
Firebat
people
doesn't anymore. They have it on occasions.
Okay,
But
good.
it's been
Good.
its own thing. I'm familiar with them and stuff. I don't know. It's hard to generalize, I
Okay.
guess. I don't know. And I treat them as separate things. Like, I don't think that Femios is a worse person than Firebat. If someone put a gun to my head, yeah, Firebat seems like the worst person on
Yeah.
evidence.
Okay, but
But
like
I don't like what this person does. I don't like what she's doing.
uh-huh.
So
Listen,
I
I
don't know.
understand all that, and stuff you've described to me I don't like either, but like, these may be separate people, but you are yourself. You're not a separate thing. And the reason why these are being linked is because there is a discrepancy between your treatment of these two people, and it pertains to the same subject. You are in effect, if not formally, you're not declaring your like allegiance with Firebat or something, but you're giving help and care to Firebat, but you're not giving care to Femiaz for the same reason, on the same
I
basis,
mean, I
I should
tried
say.
giving care to Femios for whatever, you know. We were cool for a while. It just got unbearable.
I
realized I couldn't help this person in any way.
Hey, listen.
And
I know that goddammit Malcolm is watching right now because I was searching for a stream from you and he came up in there, and I've got a headache with goddammit Malcolm. Okay, I think we're good now, but like I am no stranger to dealing with unbearable people. I do not take that back. Fuck you. No, but like. I would not, for example, give optical advice, let's say, to...
yeah,
well, we'll just use the same example. I could give great advice to Firebat. I would not give advice to Firebat and then simultaneously call, you know, like misgender, like goddammit Malcolm on purpose as an insult.
I just think I didn't care about misgendering, but like I can accept that like the DM and stuff was not a good idea for sure. Like that's fine. I've accepted that over and over.
Sure you care about misgendering. Sure you care about misgendering.
Not really.
Of course you do. You care about you.
I care like a fraction of a percent maybe. I used to care. I realized that it wasn't good for me to care, and it was fucking stressful.
Yeah, it was stressful. It hurt you.
Well, it was stressful caring, so it was like, well, I need to change my mentality then.
Yeah. How old were you when you last cared?
Jesus. Older than someone like Femios, for sure.
Okay. So... maybe like in your position, I would try to like help someone like Femios. I wouldn't be doing everything I can to hurt that person on that basis, right?
I'm not doing everything I can to hurt that person. I shit talk them sometimes.
Yeah, but shit talking them and calling them a boy is like attacking them at a level that's different. That's different.
Just telling someone to kill themselves. She's fine. She can handle it.
I'm gonna be real with you. Telling someone to kill themselves, while unacceptable, is different than giving them a reason to. And one of the things that one of the things that happens when someone, for example, cannot stomach the idea that they appear as the opposite gender in public, when you tell them that they do, that gives them reason to self-harm. That hurts them.
Did I cause that person to self-harm?
You maybe not. You're not the only thing, of course, but like, what's that?
I think you're offended on this person's behalf, and it's not.
Well, I'm not offended on this person's. I'm not offended on this person's behalf.
If she didn't like you, she would not be offended.
I'm not offended. I'm not offended at all. I'm going to give you a counterexample outside of the realm of gender. There are people who suffer from various types of psychosis, for example, where telling them certain things about their condition will also cause them to self-harm. It is the obligation of people who are in the know around that person to not tell them that.
Okay. Wow. Well.
So, for example, sorry?
I'm happy to leave her alone at this point. I don't know, man.
I think you probably owe her an apology, bluntly. Maybe she owes you one too, but I think you owe her one.
I'm sorry for calling you a boy.
Okay. Well, I've asked you a bunch of stuff. I appreciate you weathering it, by the way. So we know you're going to show up tomorrow. That'll be fun.
Yeah. Jesus.
Well, again, like I don't think you run from anything. So
I can look at something I'm actually interested in. Jesus Christ, man. But it's fine. It's fine. I was more interested in that video you're watching with Cathedral.
That was terrible. That was terrible.
Dune is pro Elon Musk and
pro MAGA and pro.
Is it about like government efficiency? I'm not familiar with Dune.
You should read Dune. It's one of the best things ever written.
I might one day.
It's beautiful. But no, it's Cathedral has no idea what he's talking about. It's awful. I couldn't do it justice. The films are bad. Don't watch the movies.
Fair enough. I've watched him like twice, and actually one of the times he actually seemed kind of sensible, but it was about the Ian Danskin kind of stuff.
Yeah. Like
he at least seemed to have his shit together in terms of like what he expects from his career and like managing his money and shit.
Yeah.
But then I don't know. It's not my genre.
I just think it's generally kind of shallow. I've kind of
fair enough.
I just don't really care that much.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to talk about before we wrap up?
I know, man. To be honest, it's quite late. I appreciate you having a chat with me.
No, it's all good. Anytime.
It's been fun talking to you.
Yeah.
Like, I get a bit heated sometimes, but it's not.
So do I. I've worked on it.
But yeah, no, I appreciate it. That's I think that's about it.
Well, I appreciate you too. Thanks for coming on, and good luck for tomorrow. We'll be watching with bated breath. Take
Have
it
a
easy.
good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Where's my freaking, there we go. Okay. All right. Well, that was a thing. Hey, we're going to raid into, my own channel. That's how I do. We're going to go into Sunday Dark, and we're going to cover some other stuff, and we're going to play some, Resident Evil 9. So, I'll see you there. Ciao. It'll be like 15 minutes or so. I gotta go do some stuff first, but then we'll get to it. See you in a bit.